Everybody, today we're going to be talking BFS. I'm going to get out on the water. I'll be doing a little fishing, but I'm going to run through my BFS rod and reel lineup and kind of talk about some of the baits, that kind of thing. Just my take on it. I'm not a professional. I'm not an expert on BFS, but just what my take from it is so far. Let's get to it. BFS stands for Bait Finesse System. Some people call it Bait Finesse Style. But it originated over in Japan, and it's basically just a bait casting reel that has a shallow spool that, you can run basically lighter line, less line, and that will allow you, it's lightweight, to, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but in order for the BFS to work, you have to start with a low weight for your startup inertia. So when you're casting something light, it has to be able to, what is over here has to be able to get this going fast enough initially. So the BFS system can actually be converted to almost any of your bait casting reels nowadays. And it's basically just a shallow, lightweight spool so that it doesn't hold a bunch of line to add to that weight, and it gets it, spooled up a lot quicker when you cast it. Your initial doesn't take a hard cast either to get it, going. Then you use your braking like usual to slow it down. But mostly what's weird is you almost sometimes you run a little more brake on the BFS stuff than you would on your conventional ones. But I won't go into all that. Like, if you want to know about the actual mechanics of BFS, you probably ought to talk to somebody other than me. But I'll show you some of the stuff I use and my rod and reels. Okay, so I know a few guys have been asking me, for my rod and reel arsenal. This is my BFS arsenal. This is all I own. There's 5 of them, and actually 2 of them would be not really considered. This one is now. I bought that's a pretty shallow DIY spool, Ray Studio, and it'll cast pretty light. And this is that rod I talked about, I put together, and you can tell it's almost what you would call a noodle. It bends way down on in there, doesn't have a lot of backbone, but it's real good for the lighter wire jig type thing, single hooks, or works for any of the your treble baits. But this is probably my favorite. I call it the lucky rod because it just seems every time you start throwing it with whatever you're using catches fish. But it's got a mega bass handle, and this is actually an old Garcia Goldmax rod that I had fit, and it goes in there. I mean, I guess I could try to show you here real quick. It's all the way inside this piece, so it's down in there. And it was originally 6'8", but it had a longer cork handle, so it's not that now. It's about 6'5". But it was rated light action, 1/4 to 3/8, 0 to 10 grams. I mean, yeah, how are you going to throw 0 grams? But anyway, 6 to 12 pound line. The reel, no. That is a magnesium spool, pretty light, but once you add all that line on there, because it's a deep one, it takes away. I was just testing out, and it works okay. Not a true BFS spool. But this rod is for sure. It's probably the next, well, the one I just showed you, the Pagani, and this one are about on the same level. They're not real stout. Pagani and the Rosso. This is the only all Mega Bass BFS combo I have. It's actually the only Mega Bass combo I have I have a few other megabass rods, but I think this is the only megabass reel I own right at the moment. And that was the Zonda Rosso. I've changed it around. It doesn't look anything like this when you buy them. I don't know if it looks better or worse, but it goes pretty good with this rod now. But it's got just a hair, maybe more backbone than that black rod I just showed you. That one was 6'6". This one is also 6 foot. Yeah, I'll just show you the specs on this thing. 6'6", 8th to, I don't know what that's trying to say. It could be a 10Z or a 1 OZ, which would mean 1 ounce, but that's impossible for this little rod. But line is 6 to, and it says 16 pound, but who would put 16 pound test line on this little lightweight thing? But it's plugging versatile, and it does work good, and it's awesome for that. Like these littler baits like this, or lighter, like works extremely well. And then this, the Rosso's not originally, it wouldn't be what you call a BFS reel, but this, and they sell a, Megabass sells a spool that's a separate BFS spool, and this was one actually out of their Hedgehog Zonda. I don't know, it's 6'3". This is a criff hanger, super criff hanger, Destroyer X7 line, F2 6'3" X7 super criff hanger, 6'3", 8 to ½ ounce. I wouldn't really probably throw a ½ ounce on it, but 6 to 12 pound line. And it will pretty much work for anything you want to, you know, lighter weight stuff. I find it now a little bit, just a tad on the light side for the single hook stuff, which I'll talk about it here in a minute when I get to the other one. There's only one BFS rod I have that I actually feel real confident in now, and when I set the hook on some of these lighter wire jig hooks. Now the reel, this is actually my favorite reel of the bunch. It's the lightest for what I throw, and you probably could refer back to, I had a BFS shootout, and all of them I tested were, they're right there close, but just the ease of casting, for whatever reason, this one seems to, I don't know, there's just something about it. I like it better than the others. My most sentimental one, as far as just the stuff I've added to it. I actually traded it off and then got it back. And it's got a fairly expensive spool. And the reason I like this one is it just holds more line than the others, and it seems to pretty much cast as well, you know, as good as those shallower spools. Now I don't have a ton of line on it. You can probably tell I've got it just down from where you could. It'd hold more line, but then you just have more weight. Now I've got a fairly heavy jig on it now. This isn't a BFS jig, but I was going to try it out. But this is my favorite BFS rod so far, and it's the Shading X by Megabass. It's very similar, not much difference than the Super Criff Hanger, other than it's 3 inches longer. Now the specs say 8 to ½ ounce, 6 to 12 pound line, but it will handle just a little bit more, and I don't know why. It could be that extra 3 inches of movement, or of length, but it seems to load and go into its backbone just a hair quicker. Now, when it comes to what you can throw with these things, I typically try to throw lighter stuff with them. If you can make out what I have on there. Now, that jig's kind of heavier than what I normally would throw on it. I try to stick to 3/8, quarter, somewhere in that area, or less, to 1/16, 1/8 ounce. But now they're rated, a few of these, to up to ½ ounce, so technically you should be able to throw this. Now the problem is, it may not cast it as far as you could with something a little stouter, and when you're trying to work this through some cover, I wouldn't recommend trying to work this through timber with the BFS rod, but I guess you could. Now, I will throw some of these smaller ones. These are the lighter weight square bills, but you can use that. Actually, they make pretty lightweight deep divers also. The little mini freak, I don't even know what they call that thing, but the RC, that thing's pretty light. But I actually got those to try it. I need to throw those more. Little guy like that, you could throw the little ones that kind of run a little deeper. What else do I have here? They make a small, I don't have any, but they do make a smaller jerk bait that would work not too bad. But I stay away from most of this stuff and use it for the bigger. I use the BFS stuff with the little topwater type stuff, worms, different things. But there's a little lipless crank that would work pretty good with the BFS setup. And then all the way down to there's an old Head Supersonic. Come across any of those will work for either or. But you can really get down to some real small stuff with a good BFS setup, where you can throw these little guys with it. And I throw those every once in a while. You don't want to throw this. You can also, I do it every once in a while, but I've kind of decided if I'm going to throw a chatterbait, I like throwing the 1/2 ounce. It tends to just get down there where I want it quicker and runs about the speed I want it to run. But they do make a smaller size. That's a Z-Man. I don't even know if that's a 1/4, I think. Now it's got the only thing I don't like about them. Oh, that thing's sharp. That thing stuck me. They're sharp when they're new. Look at that huge. It still has this monster hook, so you can throw it with BFS gear. But man, you're gonna have to yank with everything pretty much to get that hook to penetrate. And they've got them in different sizes. And see, that's a little different, but still, that's a big hook. It's got big and broad. Now, they do make a little micro, see if I got any. And here's one I took all the skirting off of, but they do make some smaller. But I don't like these. I think the small ones aren't that good. They don't work like a normal chatterbait. Now, what I do like, and I got them all mixed up, but these little spinner baits, I do like throwing them with some of these different BFS rods. I've got a bunch of them. But this little guy, there's times when that thing will get me some fish. Wow, I got it all jacked up. But it'll bring in some fish when, the bite's kind of tough. Wow, who got you all dirty? But those are some options. I tend to just think lighter. What would you be throwing on a spinning rod? Because that's what they've replaced for me. But this little guy, this is what you always hear me talk about, the bobber that Matt throws. There's my bobber stopper, my answer to Matt's bobber. I still can't believe that thing, just the way it wags. It looks like a bobber floating on top. It goes about that deep, if that. And it's not really a wake bait either. It goes just under, and I don't know. I don't like it. But catches fish. And of course, any of these some of these are putting out now for crappie. Little bitty cranks. Throw them on it. And it's still, I was catching them a little bit on this. That's the smaller anthrax mega bass with the Pagani, and it was alright. You've seen me, I've thrown these mans without any problem. The trick is when you go up in weight, you know, usually the hooks get bigger. Like it throw these guys no problem, but I don't know, depending on your hook set. Now, yeah, these guys would probably stick all right. Most of your treble stuff would be okay. But like these little guys, just a little mega bass here. I don't think I've even thrown that thing. I think I bought it, and I don't think I've even made a cast with it yet. I need to throw that thing. That would probably catch me some fish. Most of these little ones I don't throw. This thing, when I first got it, and these are those, I don't even know what those are called anymore, but this one caught me a bunch of little fish, and I don't think I've hardly thrown the others too much anymore. There's another little bitty guy that'd be perfect for that. UL Crank 3. Perfect little guy here for BFS stuff. And typically when you want to go to BFS is when the bite gets tough. I think it originated maybe with guys doing trout stuff with it. And that's what a lot of the guys still do, is they want something with a little more, I guess, cranking power than a spinning reel gives them, but they wanted to throw them little bitty, you know, whatever they were throwing, little bitty stuff for trout and some finicky bass. But almost everything in here you could throw. Oh, there's this guy too. I got that from Norm. Coulter, I still haven't even, I don't know if I've even thrown that yet. So pretty much everything in here can be thrown. All right, let's get out there and throw them. I guess we'll start with the bait that more or less what got me into the BFS stuff was, you know, I came across the whole shaky head thing and these Z-Mans that last forever. But it was kind of hard, you know, to cast them with certain things. So, and I've been kind of anti spinning reels for a while now. There we go. That's why I like throwing them. Of course, you can see that it doesn't take a lot of a fish to put up a good fight, but it'll still bring in a good sized fish. That's a good one. Oh, wow. That's the biggest of the day, maybe. I'm over here. Oh, yeah. And that's why I like throwing the stuff like this. Good old shaky head, June bug color. That's a little, look how fat and short that fish is. Hey, I know you guys want to know what he weighs, so let's see. Get a weight on him here. $226. So not 2.5, but good, nice chunk. Look at that tail all chewed up. Probably would have went 2.5, but I caught you more into the spawning season. Get on out there. All right, I'm determined to catch one on that wacky rig, but not in this spot. It didn't seem to be working out. So we're going to go to something else. Now this is that bait I'd won. Yuck. Full-on mega bass right here. Rod, reel, and bait. See if mega bass can catch us something. think this is the lightest rod I've ever owned, and it's definitely the feel. This all, I wish every rod I owned had that feel to it. There we go. Oh my gosh. He ain't big, but it's a bass. Hey, knock it off. Whoa. Let me get my pliers. Get out of there. And hold still. This is the first time I've used this bait, and well, guess what? Thank you, Marc Antoine Defour. I think that's how you say. I don't know how you say your name. Caught a fish. Well, we'll find out. I got him. Stay buttoned up. Yeah, little bass, but hey. Oh. You dirty dog. Oh, you're all chewed up. What happened to you? Oh my God, was that a turtle? Because if that was, I will mess that turtle up. I don't know if you guys can see that. I didn't do this. See that chunk? I don't know what has happened to this poor guy, but he's been chunked up. But he was caught. Which actually surprised me. As you can see, this is the Shading X. 6'6". Pretty light, but and then this is the old beat up. That is not the sharpest hook in the world, but it was enough to stick that little guy. So I don't know about a 4 or 5 pound bass, but good enough. Position here. I still can't believe there wasn't a fish over here. I think there is one. I think he's just hiding. Let's see. I got the drag way too loose on this reel. There he is. Speaking of skiers, that's a little guy, but hey, I caught one on this bait. Like I said, I wanted to. Pachow. All right, get back out there and get bigger. Oh boy. But as you can tell, it'll catch him. That's about the size Noah was catching. It works pretty good for that. Just a little oh, you messed up my TRD. How did you do that? I don't get it. Okay, I guess I didn't have it on there that great. But that's why I kind of nicknamed this rod the Lucky Rod, because I took it out. I think it had a man's on it, and it just seemed to won't even think about backlashing. There we go. Oh boy. Telling you guys, BFS, where it's at. Oh, it's a crappie. Look at that. Oh yeah. Look at that crappie. Kaboom. All right, hang on, crappie. And I'll unhook you. Nice little, oh! Try to bite me. So I think we got into a mess of crappie. I didn't bring anything to really keep them. I know some people would be wanting them to eat, but sorry, kids. Didn't come to get food. You came to the little BFS shootout here. Well, what do you know? I actually can catch a bass on one of these things. Well, boys and girls, I actually caught a nice one. I just had the camera off and was switching out, trying different stuff. That's a good fat, oh, that's like a deformed looking sucker. But I'd caught a few on that other little Rapala that's got these weird, kind of makes them hunt. I think it's the first time I've thrown this one. Look at that little chunk. Kind of got a deformed looking, look at that tail. It's all jacked up, been spawning. Crazy little dude. Heavy chunk, that's at least a pounder, but a little short. Bass, get back out there. You've seen the little one that I already caught. I do have a deeper diving bass colored one, which I wish I had a little orange on the belly. And then more of a shallow one. Yeah, scatter wrap. This is the 5 scatter wrap, the deep 5, I think that's called. And then you guys see those, and then this is just the scatter wrap shad 5. So these are 3 basically the same size roughly. Then that's a smaller one of the bunch, but I got a few to try out. Yeah, what do you know? Pretty much what I call maybe the lightest rod of the bunch. Cast that big old square bill out there with them big old hooks and caught a little old bass. There you go. Now, I still don't recommend that. That's pretty good chunk, pretty good hooks to be throwing on this. Let me see if we can get the rod up there. Just lighter weighted rod, but can be done. Seems fine. Catches fish. Oh, it's a crappie, isn't it? This is a crappie catching machine. I've caught 3 crappie today. Oh, that's a good chunk. Look at that crappie. You guys can see that. That is a very, it almost looks like, what is up with that? And see how, I guess that's just me. I thought they were supposed to be, the fin looks like it's back further. I don't know. It could be me, but that's a good chunk. No belly whatsoever, though. I don't know when these things spawn, but wow. Got a new crappie bait, guys. Somebody let Johnny know he better get him some of these. They'll catch it all. Alright guys, I'm out of here. Whoa. Very nice day of fishing. Apologize for the sun, but it's bright. Or when I'll get out again. Like always guys, like, subscribe, and share, and thanks for watching.